I'm one person. I'm in the fight of my life, for my life, and no politician like the government can tell me what to do with my life. I don't tell them what to do with their life. So don't tell me what to do with mine.
We're, deeply disappointed in the decision, and we're looking at reviewing it very carefully to decide whether we're going to appeal. And, we're very disappointed that this policy exists to begin with, and that we had to bring this case to court.
Death isn't an easy topic of conversation, but the person that we interviewed today is unfortunately staring it right in the face. This comes after the fact of a court ruling that has determined that this individual, Miss Lewis, who is attempting to get a life-saving organ transplant, is being denied because of her vaccination status. There is a publication ban in place, so some of the details of this case are to remain hidden at this time, unfortunately. However, I'm interviewing Miss Lewis and her lawyer today. You're going to hear her story, and then you're going to want to do something about it. That's why we have a petition calling on the government to stop allowing this coercion of organ transplant patients, denying them life-saving care if they don't get a vaccine they don't want, and isn't even that effective in the first place. Go to organsnotcoercion.ca, sign the petition, but in the meantime, we are here to interview Miss Lewis today to find out exactly what is going on and to hear from her herself about the situation she now finds herself in.
I'm really sorely disappointed in the decision from the courts. I kind of was half expecting it, but hoping for a much better outlet. But I don't believe they made, in my heart, the right decision. It's a human right to have any kind of life-saving surgery. It's not just the charter right, it's a human right. And they went against the human right. They ruled against it. Began 2 years ago. 2019, I was diagnosed with IPF. It's a disease, one of the organs in the body. I can't mention the organ, but it's a disease in the body. It's not reversible. There's no cure. So in 2019, my journey began with a disease I knew nothing about, unfortunately, but no loss today, of course. So right now, where I stand, 2.5 years later, is not in a good spot at all. It has gotten much worse. And unfortunately, without the transplant, it will take me. And there's no other two ways about it. This disease kills. Simple. And I always believed there was a human right to get any kind of life-saving surgery for anybody in Canada. And have the basic human right denied is appalling, to say the least.
What are your steps forward? What do you do next?
There's not a whole lot I can do, really. The only thing I can do is hopefully hope for an appeal. I'm not saying we're going to appeal, but what I am saying is that we can, and that is up my lawyers, and that will make that decision. That is the next step for them. I can't tell anybody else what to do. That's their choice. But for me personally, you got to keep fighting for what you believe in. And we all know where I stand.
A lot of the politicians who've implemented these measures, would you have a message to them? Perhaps a lot of these individuals that are in these positions of power don't quite understand the amount of damage that they're doing by allowing this kind of stuff to move forward. Do you have any message for our politicians?
Politicians should not stand in the way of Canadians and what we need to get done. It is a human basic right for every Canadian citizen to live and to do everything in our power to do that. The doctors take an oath when they become a doctor or a nurse to fulfill that oath. And they are not doing it. They are denying our rights.
Ms. Lewis, I'd like to, if there's any last word you'd like to add, please feel free.
I'm angry over yesterday's decision. I have every right to be angry. And there's a lot of people out there that would say, get the vaccine. Well, that's okay. If they want to get the vaccine, that's their choice. My choice is I didn't want to get the vaccine for reasons of my own. That has already been done. I'm one person. I'm in the fight of my life, for my life, and no politician or the government can tell me what to do with my life. I don't tell them what to do with their life. So don't tell me what to do with mine.
The JCCF is representing Ms. Lewis, and we spoke with the lead counsel on her case, Allison Pejovic.
Well, I mean, we're deeply disappointed in the decision, and we're looking at reviewing it very carefully to decide whether we're going to appeal. And we're very disappointed that this policy exists to begin with, and that we had to bring this case to court, because unlike the requirement to get the childhood vaccines, which our client has no issues with, the requirement to get these vaccines when she doesn't, there's no proof that she's going to get COVID. She may never get it. She may already have had it, but there are risks to her life, however small they may be, by taking which is essentially a drug treatment for a condition she may never have, which is still in clinical trials. And that is, in our view, the most significant part of this, is that, they're still being tested for safety and efficacy. That is not finished yet. And every couple of months, you hear something new. The FDA just in May announced that they're restricting the use of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine because of continuing and persistent concerns of blood clots. And last fall, Ontario government recommended the Pfizer vaccine over the Moderna vaccine for young males because of concerns of myocarditis, but those issues weren't known a year ago. So because these vaccines are so new, and despite the fact that they've been injected into billions of people, the timeline is so short. And so why, I understand there's arguments on the other side, and I know what they are, that in our view, mandating a experimental vaccine, and we say experimental because it's still in clinical trials, for somebody to get life-saving surgery within a transplant program is unlawful.
I had one last question for Ms. Lewis, and I wanted to know if she was alone in this fight, because as I personally experienced previously in reaching out to a separate individual who was also seeking what could be a life-saving transplant, they were denied because of their vaccination status. I was hoping to bring that story to you, but because of concerns that coming public with their situation might cause them to ultimately not be given an organ transplant, they decided that they would remain behind the scenes for the time being. People within the community, those individuals who are looking for transplants, have you heard of many other individuals faced with this as well?
I've heard there's quite a few actually, and there's quite a few that I have talked to and met over time. I'm not the only one, believe me, by a long shot. But there's more of us than we would actually like.
There is another individual who, one of our great reporters out of Quebec, Alexa Lavoie, spoke with this individual who was also seeking an organ transplant and was denied because of her vaccination status.
If you have been following my SaveJoannie.com campaign, I tell the story of Joannie, who recently learned she suffered from cystic fibrosis and who was taking off the list for a lung transplant because she was not vaccinated against COVID-19. She is still being denied access to life-saving care. Who in this world has the right to decide who should live and who does not? Once again, another person is denied the right to live because the government has decided that complying with the restriction gives you more rights than other. This is outrageous and completely inhuman.
I encourage you to sign that petition. And as well, we're setting up a new petition called organsnotcoercion.ca. We're going to be handing this off to Jason Copping, the Minister of Health here in Alberta, because as was mentioned, the AHS and the transplant program, well, they had unwritten policies determining that somebody couldn't receive a life-saving surgery because they didn't get a vaccine, as they call it, an experimental vaccine, because it hasn't gone through the long-term trials. And because of that, because there is that risk that is associated with that vaccine, causing some people to be hesitant about taking it, and whatever other reasons someone might have for not wanting to take the vaccine, well, those millions of Canadians are being told that they aren't able to receive life-saving healthcare, life-saving organ transplants because of that decision that Trudeau, that Kenny, that our health minister are trying to say that we're not allowed to have. Well, I encourage you guys to sign that petition. For Rebel News, I'm Sidney Fizzard. If you want to stop vaccine coercion for when it comes to organ transplants for the millions of Canadians out there who aren't vaccinated, well, you've got to go to organsnotcoercion.ca. Sign the petition, and we're going to hand that off to see what these ministers have to say and to let them know that they have to rein in these doctors and these unwritten policies that are preventing millions of Canadians from getting the healthcare they need.